Welcome back into the GSMC Sports Podcast as we're going to do week 2 here of my best bets for the NFL weekend. Last week we did pretty well for ourselves going 4-1. Ultimately it was the Browns that ended up hurting me. Just a huge misread on my part. Didn't do a good enough job of looking into the injury status of the offensive tackles as well. But even if they were healthy, that was just a disastrous game, really, for the Browns from start to finish there. So hoping to even top what our performance last week with an undefeated stretch this upcoming week. So my first bet of the day, the Seattle Seahawks going to New England. Now this is a game that I'm hoping is not an overreaction from last week, that the Seahawks offense looked very dysfunctional to me. Maybe the worst performance from any offensive line that we saw last week versus Denver. I didn't think that Geno Smith looked particularly sharp either. He's not somebody that I'm all that confident in anyways. And this is a Patriots defense that I am very confident in, that they are a very talented group. They didn't seem to have any sort of drop-off in week 1 with, post-Belichick, and that was against a very talented offense in the Cincinnati Bengals. Yes, down some pieces for sure, but that being said, I don't think that the Seahawks offense is so I think that the Patriots defense can limit the Seahawks offense. Let's put it that way. And on the other side, Mike McDonald is an excellent defensive mind that I have a very hard time imagining the Patriots are going to be able to put up many points against them. It was hard enough against Cincinnati last week that Seattle should probably be a better core on the defensive side of the ball for this season, that I just don't think there are going to be a lot of points scored, and the spread being over 3 points, you're telling me that they keep it within the range of a field goal, that they're going to be able to cover this spread. I think it's good enough at home. This is the season opener for New England. I think that the energy around the Patriots has really shifted over the course of the past week from where the expectations were at during preseason to this upcoming week. So that being said, again, I think it's very possible that this could be a little bit of an overreaction line, that, if things played out differently, I feel like this line would have been even larger. I still like the Patriots this week to possibly even win. Probably not. I like the 3.5 points, though. Get me within a field goal and we're gold. So going with the Patriots as the first play of the weekend. The Arizona Cardinals, they were our lock of the week last week. 6.5 point dogs to the Buffalo Bills. Took a backdoor cover, but they were able to get it done. And I'm still a believer in them for this upcoming season. Now, Kyler Murray and his quotes that came out over the past couple days about him not really taking full accountability for the lack of getting Marvin Harrison Jr. the ball, but also, I can a little bit sympathize with where he's at there. I just think it's a bad look regardless, and, the way with words didn't come across great. But, that being said, I do still think that this is a pretty talented team. Their defense faced Josh Allen, and ultimately he was able to run all over them, especially in the red zone. That was the biggest issue. The reality is the Rams are not going to have that much time to be able to sit back and throw. We did just get a report from Ian Rappaport that Steve Avila, their starting offensive guard, he is going to be out until what sounds like around November, where he got hurt this past week. Alaric Jackson, their starting left tackle, he is still dealing with suspension. Joe Noteboom was also placed on injured reserve list. That was he was the replacement for Jackson in the first place, so they got a third string left tackle starting right now. Puka Nacua is going to be out. That I'm a believer in the Cardinals for this upcoming season. If they are going to be able to have any form of success, I think that this is sort of the spot for them to prove themselves against what is a beat-up Rams team on the other end. There is not that same scramble ability, of course, from Matthew Stafford. I think that the personnel in that front seven is good enough to be able to put pressure on the Rams, and ultimately 1-point spread at home. Again, this is a little bit more of a desperation pick, I think, for the Cardinals, that they sort of have to win this game if they are going to be competitive this season. So I'm going with the Cards once again in week 2. Next pick here, the Pittsburgh Steelers going on the road once again to Denver. Don't love picking a team that is back-to-back road games to start the year, but that being said, they are going to Denver to face what is a not very good offense. Now, again, last week they played the Seahawks. Seahawks, I do believe in as a defense, so there is that. But it's really hard for me to imagine that Bo Nix is going to be able to have all that much success, if any, against what is a very talented Pittsburgh defense. They're probably even better, I would argue at least, than what the Seahawks are from a player talent standpoint. But the real hang up here is, well, the Broncos defense also actually did look pretty good. And the Steelers were unable to get into the end zone in week 1. This could absolutely be a low-scoring game. The over-under line right now is 36.5, which is the lowest of week 2. So that does have me a little bit nervous. Spread is at 2.5, so we need a field goal. That's it. And I think that is possible. Justin Fields, just don't make the fatal mistakes. Don't do too much. I thought that the way that he played was it was good. It was good. That's all you really need to say about it. And that is enough for me to be able to think that the Steelers are just a far more talented team than the Broncos. I also think that the Broncos' defensive success last week might have also been signs of what is a not great offense there. So again, I am locking in the Steelers at -2.5 on the road. Next up, New York Jets visiting the Tennessee Titans. We just talked about in the last segment. I think that the Jets are the team that has the single most pressure to succeed this upcoming week, given the fact that they are 0-1. I don't overreact to the 49ers loss, but this is one where you're playing a Titans team that didn't even allow an offensive touchdown last week and played a rookie Caleb Williams. I'm still very hesitant about, putting the Jets into Super Bowl contention conversations, really. But if you're a believer in them for that, they should easily be able to handle the Titans. And I'm not saying easily as in demolish them, but this is a game that they should absolutely win. And Will Levis looked like maybe the worst quarterback that started last week. The disastrous, of course, decision to try and flip it out that led to the Tyreek Stevenson pick 6 to end the game. So I think that this is, a bounce back spot, especially so for that Jets defense, that it's one thing allowing the 49ers to sort of, move the ball up and down on you against Kyle Shanahan. That's very defensible. Having Jordan Mason being the one that's doing the heavy lifting in the run game, I think that defense really got humbled last week. And this time around, again, this is a Robert Saleh specialty, is supposed to be the defensive side of the ball. He knows that he's coaching for his job this upcoming season. It's one thing, Aaron Rodgers is going to do what Aaron Rodgers is going to do, but Saleh, there is no excuse for not shutting down this Tennessee offense on the other side of the ball. Don't love the line being at 3.5. It does feel a little bit like a stay away game, but I think ultimately the Jets are going to be able to squeak out the cover. The Titans were 3.5-point underdogs last week against the Chicago Bears, and the Bears played an awful game and were still able to cover that. So I'm riding with the Jets -3.5. And then final game of the weekend, the Jacksonville Jaguars versus the Cleveland Browns. This game is actually in Jacksonville, where they are 3-point favorites. So this is about even odds. And, this is another one where I feel like I don't want to buy into the overreaction necessarily of, okay, well, the Browns were just so bad that I'm going to pick against them no matter what. I headed into the season, I've been a believer in the Jaguars, that their defense can be deceptively better than a lot of people are anticipating. I thought that the second half offense for the Jaguars was not good, but that being said, if ETN holds on to the ball at the goal line and scores the touchdown, it's a different game, and I think they maybe beat the Dolphins. Not going to talk hypotheticals there because that's counterproductive. But for the Jaguars to lose by a hair last week while also suffering the most unfortunate turn of events that are within the rules of football, which is fumbling through the end zone, I think that they're going to be able to have a bounce back game against the Browns. It seems like the confidence in Deshaun Watson within the building doesn't appear to be there. And I have the Jaguars covering here at -3. I could definitely see this resulting in a push. Taking the 5th pick here. So was a little bit dicier here, but I do think that the Jaguars get it done at home and sort of set themselves up on the right track moving forward here. So just as an overview once again of the week 2 picks, I have the New England Patriots at home against the Seahawks covering +3.5. I have the Cardinals -1 against the Rams at home. I have the Steelers going on the road -2.5 against the Denver Broncos. I have the Jets -3.5 against the Titans, and I have the Jaguars -3. But let me know what your thoughts and critiques are in the comment section. Additionally, let me know what other lines sort of stand out to you headed into this upcoming weekend of action. But we are going to be taking our final break of the show now, and when we come back on the other side, we're actually going to be shifting gears a little bit to the NBA, where some very interesting rumors have popped out about the Golden State Warriors potentially being interested in Heat star Jimmy Butler. So we will be talking about that, but first we're going to take a quick break. Do not go anywhere. We will be right back.